Jump, short for Janked Up Mario Party, is a ROM hack of legendary status for Super Mario World. It was created by several people on the Talkhouse forums led by a terraformer and World Peace and released in 2015. Since then, this team has been known as Jump Team and have released many popular hacks, known for their creativity with vanilla Mario World and with custom gimmicks. But it was their first hack, Jump, that put them on the map. This is a massive hack and an early showcase of work from some of today's more well-known SMW modders like Morsel, Anonymous Bloodlust, and Daizo. This takes you on a journey through 125 exits across 9 different worlds. The first world will introduce a bunch of mechanics to you, the second will throw you into a bunch of levels that are a step up from vanilla difficulty, the third and fourth step it up even further, and worlds 5 through 9 will be full jump difficulty. This is a hard game, and getting the full 100% is quite the accomplishment. Jump has a pretty cool Dragon Coin reward system which unlocks many rewards the more you collect. This ROM hack has been an amazing time, and despite the frustration it caused me, it's one of my favorites. I spent all of 2022 getting through the whole thing and loved it. There are some seriously messed up levels in Jump though, and to be honest, a few that I absolutely can't stand, which is why I wouldn't recommend it as a first hack, but the overall experience is fantastic, and seeing the star 125 at the end of a complete run is an awesome feeling. When I finished this hack for my first time, I was so impressed that I told myself, I'm gonna review this one day, and here it is. With that said, let's jump into Jump. This is the first overworld, the Grassy Plains. Yoshi's house is located here, and once you find 5 Dragon Coins, you can come back for a power-up which increases Mario's overworld speed. The first level is made by project lead a terraformer, and it's quite a first level. A lot of vanilla mechanics and bugs are demonstrated here that will be very useful for the long run, such as ducking when climbing on a net to shrink Mario's hitbox, carrying items on nets and ropes, and spin jumping while ducking in a one-tile space to clip through the floor. Duck jumping is one of the more useful things you could do in this hack because it shrinks Mario's hitbox enough to cross some of these tighter jumps. Most levels in World 1 are slightly more difficult than vanilla Super Mario World, and I would compare them to the special world levels in the base game. You will encounter a lot of unusual progression from the Mario you're used to, and it will only get more crazy throughout the hack. I love this sky level with these cloud tiles and this mountainous adventure in the second level. The secret exit in Castle 1 is one that I never would have found without the many hints you get much later. I'm a huge fan of these early levels. They get me excited to venture out into the main overworld and will prepare you for the challenge ahead. And now we're off to the main overworld of Jump. The second world is located along the river. There's a mysterious storehouse near the Grassy Plains. We'll come back here later. The levels in this world are mostly still pretty easy, like in World 1. Pipes in literally everyone's business is actually one of my favorites in the game, jankiness and all. It's a big level with so many funny hazards and verticality. But the level called Effortland is where you'll encounter this game's first difficulty spike. 97% of Effortland's surfaces are covered in munchers, and to get anywhere you need to ride these big ass moles. This world actually has the Blue Switch Palace, which is very fun and has the only custom song out of the 4 Switch Palaces. One of the most memorable levels in the early Jump is Euphoric Mushroom Backyard by World Peace. This level cracks me up. World Peace is a Super Mario World legend and has made some incredible stuff, as you'll soon see. Castle number 2 is much harder than the first one, but I found the secret exit here to be good item swimming practice. The normal exit is super hard though, especially if you're going for all the Dragon Coins. Roy Koopa is the boss of this castle, and taking him out grants you access to the next world. He's super easy, it's literally just the vanilla fight. World 3 is divided into 2 worlds. It's a massive world once you add the levels of both together. Beating Roy in Castle number 2 will send you to a snow-themed overworld, which I'm a huge fan of, since I always thought the original Super Mario World was lacking in ice levels. I like to call this world 3A. This is where the first proper storehouse is located, where you can farm lives, pick up some power-ups, save at any time, and use Dragon Coins to purchase helpful demos of some of the more confusing and difficult levels. Some of these are extremely helpful if you're stuck. To the west is Cool Kickin', a level made by Yulp and Gamler. You'll probably get a lot more familiar with his later levels in this game. The Ice Cavern is just one of my favorite SMW themes, and this level has such a cool secret exit. This level, Efficient Heating System, relies on a cool custom mechanic which turns the timer into a thermometer, and you need to constantly switch the temperature between hot and cold to avoid freezing or cooking to death. The yellow switch is located in this world, and man, it is one hell of a puzzle. I would never have figured it out without the in-game demo at the storehouse. It's incredibly satisfying once you get through it though. I recommend trying your best to clear it without the hint since you don't get to re-enter it. My favorite castle in Jump is actually here as well, and it's castle number 3, Melt a Meat Locker. Here you will need to use the fire flower to melt your path through this icy castle. It's incredibly fun, well designed, and balances puzzles and action very well. The Jump team would go on to make some of the best puzzle levels like this in their later ROM hacks. World 3B is in the depths of a cave, north of Roy's castle. The music in this overworld is one of my favorite songs in the game. I often just sit here and let it play. There are some awesome levels here. It's one of my favorite cave overworlds. There are some hidden levels here as well that you can discover later. You can enter the dumbest cavern, which has some funny message boxes and a cleverly hidden secret. Hell, that's not dumb, that's awesome. You wanna see dumb? This is my first Super Mario World level that I threw together in Lunar Magic. Another level which is actually dumb is Spring Green Spelunking. It's almost like this was made as a meme. It's basically Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, except this predates that game and the color palette just makes me sick. You'll find a lot of questionable color palettes in Jump for sure. And some questionable level design, to be honest. Cave of the Jocks is kind of like a sequel to Rad Rugby Null, because it's full of these football players. It's so much fun and feels like it could fit with Jump Half. One of the most memorable levels in this world for me is Blockomancy vs Trigonometry. The Jump team paid homage to this level in their later 2020 ROM hack Yump 2. In that hack there's like a 90-minute long yellow switch palace. It's insane. Perhaps the best fortress in all of Jump is located at the end of World 3B, and it's called Fortress of Komei's Trap. This is Jump's first real puzzle level, and it makes use of so many obscure vanilla mechanics I never knew existed. Like, apparently Yoshi can just eat the Resners, which explains why you can't take him in there in the base game. Now, after wrecking the fortress, it's time to head for the mountains. Depending on which of World 3's exit pipes you take, you'll climb one of 2 paths up the mountains. Exiting from the cave will drop you straight onto Perilous Pier by Super Mario World ROM hacking legend Morsel. When I first played Jump, I got stuck on every single Morsel level I encountered. He's incredibly creative, but his levels often have a huge learning curve to them. It took me so many tries before I got to the point where this level wasn't that hard anymore, and even then the second half is super unforgiving. I think my favorite level in this world is Horse Eating Disorder, which makes use of the green berries that add to the timer. You start with 30 seconds and need to constantly eat berries with Yoshi to keep the timer from running out. It's a fun gimmick, and I've seen it used in other hacks like Cooler Cruel and Super Pango World. Another level in this world that's amazing is Bridge Engineering by World Peace. In this level, you have to build a bunch of bridges using this custom tile that World Peace coded in order to cross a bunch of gaps. It's really well made and creative. If you exit from the snowy pipe, you'll land on one of my favorite levels in this world, Under Construction. This is basically a half-built level with all kinds of cut-off tiles, and I love it. Reminds me of something from Yump. I can't talk about this world or about Jump in general without mentioning Chuck Magnet. This is undoubtedly one of the top 3 most memorable levels in this ROM hack. It's an escort mission where you take Charles here through the entire level. Not only do you escort him along, but he escorts you too, since there are obstacles that only he can pass and you can't, and vice versa. It can be insanely frustrating because he's so unpredictable, but it's such an interesting gimmick I've never seen before. I can't imagine what the code on this little guy looks like. You can find the red switch here, and thankfully it's just a fun level with no brain-hurting puzzle. Near the summit of the mountain is castle number 4, and this is a rough one. This strawberry milkshake actually reverses your horizontal controls, and it's confusing as shit. My D-pad fingers always hurt after this one, but once it's done, you're off to the skies. This cloudy paradise is World 5. I think it's a beautiful little subworld with a starry sky and the gently flowing water while that beautiful music plays. I tried my hand at making an overworld once, and you have no idea how time-consuming it is. I gained a whole new appreciation for the Jump team after finding out myself how much effort it takes to make something this grand. Jump comes from a time before the fast retry system became standard in Mario World ROM hacks, and so whenever you die in a level you will go back to the overworld like in the original game. I actually prefer this because the stakes of losing are a bit higher. You're not just instantly thrown back into the action, and it's also nice to take a break on the overworld if a level is giving me a hard time. The first level here is based around rope climbing, and it's cool to see this dropping rope mechanic from so many Kaizo hacks used in this standard level. I've seen this used in Kaizo 2, Cooler Cruel, and Dram World. It even makes use of a rope glitch, which lets you climb on thin air if you get pushed off a rope. This fortress is another one of Jump's memorable levels. The sprite work here is awesome. It looks like someone upscaled these sprites and tiles and made them 4K. The boss is also completely custom and very well designed. In the center of the overworld is a marathon of a level called Keep a Positive Altitude. I used to hate this one for how difficult and long it is, but it's like one of my all-time favorites now. It makes heavy use of the P-Balloon and puts you through a bunch of really clever situations. The final room with the blue Yoshi is my favorite. I think this is one of the best puzzles in the game. The biggest challenge of the world is Mankey Bridge, another level made by Morsel. This is such a long and punishing endurance round. The first half of the level is pretty fun and easy, but the second half just goes on, and it's so hard. The main gimmick here is that holding the blue blocks gives you a higher jump. It took me 3 days to clear this one, and I was so relieved when it was over. This is one of those rare worlds that has 2 fortresses in it. There's that giant fortress, and then there's this one called the Smog That Smiles Back. It just gets hazier and hazier the further you travel in this level. Down the other side of the mountain is Castle Number 5, the Ruins of Challenging Sadness. The whole first half of this level has a sniper constantly targeting you, and the castle's partially flooded. It's really tough. I got murdered by this one my first time ever playing through it, and to be honest, I'm still not a big fan of it. You'll be missing it so much in the next world though, because it's about to get rough. World 6 is in the Dark Forest, and it's like the frickin' Great Wall or something because there is so many painful levels made by Morsel and Yelp and Gambler. 3 in particular. That haunted house is called House of the Holy, and every single section in it is an unbelievable pain in the ass. I actually cannot even get through the secret path without cheesing it with the cape. It actually has a reverse boss at the end though, which is absolutely awesome. But then after that is one of the worst levels I've ever played. All the Way from New Jersey by Yelp. Look at this. Just look. Does this look fun to you? Can't see shit, low ceilings, projectile spam. It's like a mix of all the worst things. Clearing the haunted house will let you access the green switch, made by none other than our buddy Morsel. If you thought the yellow switch palette was a complete mess, you haven't seen shit. Morsel doesn't hold back here, and it's one of the most confusing puzzles in the entire hack, involving these bouncing keys and these nets that kill you if you go through without holding an item. Clearing New Jersey will let you access World 6, and I'm really happy to say that it eases up from here. I really love pretty much every other level here. Dead Trees is great, the Dark Forest, Balls, how could I forget about Balls? Get the Right Exit is a clever use of the key and keyhole sprites. Here you need to bring a key with you to the goalpost exit since there are a few locked doors blocking it and the keyholes are everywhere. The level with the coin guides makes me think of Grand Poo World with that hilarious coin trail that drops you into lava. I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually a nod to this hack. The World 6 castle was made by a terraformer, and I'm a huge fan of this one. It's funny how you can take a quick trip to heaven at this shrine and see Chuck, who you killed back in World 4. This level reminds me of Indiana Jones with the treasure on the altar. Picking up the shell awakens everything here, but it's your key to get out alive. The final boss of this level is a joke though. Just toss both shells down there and you won. World 7 is the penultimate world, and as you'd expect, it's full of absolute ass kickers. Now the ghost house of this world is probably my favorite one in the game. I just really like how cleverly hidden the secret exit is, and I really like the atmosphere. One of the rare levels based around these janky skull platforms that I really enjoy. Every time I enter this world, I always postpone the levels I hate, especially this one that just tosses sea mines at you the whole time. Seriously, for the first half of this level, it's just raining them the whole goddamn time. Another level which is insanely spammy is the Scaffolding Scuffle. The first half in particular is like a bullet hell, but this is actually one of my favorite levels because the second half is so good. It was a collab between World Peace and a terraformer. You know the rule, anytime you see World Peace's name on a level, it's a guaranteed banger. And that's the case with this one called Root of Yggdrasil. It's just a fun and goofy level. One of my favorite things is how you get this weird scream when you fall down a trap pit. It's just a brilliant puzzle level as you'd expect. There is one level in this world that is entirely based around thwomps, and it's one of the most frustrating levels in Jump. I remember struggling a lot with this one, and even postponing it out of sheer dread from playing it. In my opinion, the hardest level here is Burnt Mountain Tango by far. It's a freaking endurance round, especially that final section after the second checkpoint. It's so rough. Just like in the original Mario world, there is that one last guard castle before the Bowser castle, and this is home to Ludwig. It's an absolute slaughterhouse with these saws everywhere. This level has very few power-ups, which make it so stressful. I always try so hard to keep a few mushrooms for the last room, but it's hard not to take damage in some of these rooms. Funny enough, the Ludwig boss fight itself is an absolute joke. Barely harder than the vanilla boss fight, actually. Now, the Bowser Castle and Jump sort of introduced something that would become standard in these Jump Team Mega Collabs, the Final Castle Gauntlet. This game, Jump Path, Jump 2, all have these massive castles with a bunch of different paths you can take to reach the final boss. This level was worked on by various members of Jump Team, with each room designed by different people. Some of these rooms are amazing and some are ridiculous, but I always try to beat a different one each time because I wanted to experience every single room in this hack. There aren't many huge hacks like Jump that have these amazingly huge castles in them, and each time I encounter one, I always try to clear the whole thing. The final boss of Jump is Bowser. Surprise! This Bowser is much harder than the vanilla one though, and I actually got stuck on this for a while. The Mecha Koopas jump with you, and I always end up running into them. The key to beating the final phase of this fight is to know that Bowser always throws them to the left. Once I knew this, it was a total piece of cake. But yeah, that's Jump. Clearing this final stage is what you gotta do to get the credits roll and that any % completion. But if you're going for 125.69, which is all exits and dragon coins, you're gonna be up against some really tough shit. There are several levels off the main 7 worlds to explore, many of which are far more brutal than anything I've previously talked about. This is Star World in Jump. It works differently than the one in Super Mario World. Here you can't just warp through Star World to another warp location. Most of the time you need to unlock the path to that star first, and beating some of these levels to unlock them can take quite the time and possibly the toll on your mental health. One of these levels I actually can't beat, and the only reason I even got the exit is because the designer left in some intentional cheese. There is one level here which I think is great for learning how to ride the disco shell, which is this homing rainbow shell. One of my favorite levels in Star World, I think. Another one I love is this big puzzle level called Chains of Atrophy. I used to hate this one, but once I learned how to beat it, I really enjoyed going back and replaying it. Star World also has my favorite level in the whole game. This one revolves around keeping Yoshi from eating anything while flying through the stage. It's fun as hell, and I love all the custom things that World Peace coded for it. Ironically, the best level in the game is sitting right next to one of the worst. This Cryophobia level was made by Yolp, and it's one of the most brutal showcases of his obsession with low ceilings. What makes this arguably worse than the New Jersey level though is that it's a pseudo auto-scroller with a blinding color palette, and you end up staring at it forever because the level moves so slow. If you've cleared all the worlds I've covered so far, you'll find that you still have 8 exits left. These are located in a special world which you can unlock through a series of events, beginning at that suspicious warehouse I mentioned at the beginning. Going 88 miles per hour on this secret level will send you to a strange black hole world. These are the final levels of Jump. These are purchased with dragon coins as well, so hopefully you've been collecting those. The first 4 levels here are very fun and difficult. They're very long, but they have plenty of checkpoints. My second favorite level in Jump is in this world, which is Tactical Ambush Operation. This is one from the title screen, and I just love how well it flows. But once you reach the 5th level here, the Depraved Stronghold, your progress is coming to a dead stop. This is the hardest one in the game objectively. Every single inch of this level murdered me a billion times. I played this for like 6 months trying to clear it, and it made me go insane. This level is so long and so punishing every step of the way, spinning on all kinds of dangerous shit over lava for 2 extremely long rooms before even 1 checkpoint. I swear, this level made me hate the Vanilla Castle music. On my first replay here, 121 exits in, my save got corrupted and I had to start the whole hack over. I can't begin to describe the relief I felt when I first cleared it. I took my save file and backed it up after that. The good thing is that you get quite a nice reward for beating that awful level. Welcome to Shattered Dreams, another epic castle gauntlet created by multiple designers. This one is jam-packed with some absolutely crushing rooms, some of which I can't even play. To be honest, some of them are also borderline unplayable to me, like this room where you can't jump and this one where you can't even push left. You need to be an expert at SMW's physics and quirks to beat some of these. When I play this level, I always go for the secret paths because they are so much easier. Each hub has a secret door you can open, and usually they lead to much easier rooms. I love this one with the teleporting Mario and the one with those Metroid Fusion looking textures. There is one section made by Morsel which kills my thumbs, but it's ironically the easiest room in this hub. This bouncy platform room. The whole Gauntlet took me like a week to clear, and when you reach the end it has these nice portraits of levels you encountered throughout Jump, like Effortland, Tactical Ambush Operation, Ludwig's Grindhouse. Now it's on to the actual final boss of Jump, programmed by World Peace. This is still the most amazing boss I've seen in a Super Mario World hack. It still has yet to be topped. It's such a fitting final boss to this massive game, and it manages to be challenging while not being an impossible grind. It's so well made, and I can't imagine how much coding World Peace did to get this boss in the game. Outstanding stuff. Now it's on to the last two exits. These were hidden in Star World all along. The first one is called Shell Sticker, which, like a few other levels in this hack, has intentional cheese which lets you skip it. Which is great for me, because I actually can't shell jump. Maybe one day I'll go back and beat it though. But after that is 1F8, which is Anonymous Bloodlust's contribution to Jump. It's the second hardest level in the game, and it's so good. I spent a full day going through this, and the inclusion of checkpoints between each room makes it so much more enjoyable than if you had to clear multiple rooms at once. The final room with the skulls here originally didn't have these arrows, but World Peace coded them in because the level was too hard without them. And that covers just about everything in Jump. It's such a colossal game and quite the undertaking to get through it 100%. This ROM hack is massively influential, and it's easy to see why. It's not every day we get a gargantuan community project like this from the Super Mario World community, maybe barely once a year if even that. This is a good example of what you can get when people motivated by nothing but their common passion for this game come together to show its full potential. If you've ever spent time making levels or overworlds in Lunar Magic, you know just how time consuming it is, so when I see work on this scale, I'm just beyond impressed. This is such a beautiful and charming little Mario game, and I really hope we see more standard projects like this from the Jump team and from other creators. I've played so many ROM hacks, I freaking love these things, and I'll continue to play them as long as they're being made. If you're interested in playing Super Mario World hacks like Jump, head over to Super Mario World Central to learn how to set them up and download them. All Mario World hacks are hosted there, and there are tons of tutorials and resources for making your own hacks. I'd also be doing you all a disservice if I didn't recommend the sequel to this hack as well, called Jump Half, because it's even better than this one. Give it a try, you won't regret it. This video took me forever to make, but I've always wanted to make occasional videos like this about ROM hacks. I hope it encourages more people to try them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.